passenger seat. She died on impact because you broke almost everything in her body. Her toxicology report was clean. She wasn't a perfect kid, but she was a good kid, and you robbed the world of her presence.
The families of the 3 young people killed in a hit-and-run crash in February sharing the depth of their grief this morning in court. Good afternoon, I'm Dan Cummings. It's good to see you again. The breaking news at this hour, Anthony Saccone, the Camillus man who admitted to driving drunk and causing that deadly crash in Onondaga last winter, will now spend the next 10 to 30 years in state prison. Jennifer Sanders was in the courtroom this morning as the families talked openly about the loved ones that were taken from them. Jennifer, good afternoon.
A very good afternoon to you, Dan. Well, a walking nightmare. That's how these families are describing the past 9 months. Now, even though the sentencing actually happened today, they do say that that nightmare is far from over. They do also say that they do have a chance to finally grieve, and they don't have to worry about any more court proceedings hindering that process. They vow to show up every time Saccone is up for parole to make sure he serves his full sentence. 4 family members, as you can see in the video you're watching now, addressed the courtroom, describing the victims' final moments before they were killed, and they told Saccone his selfish actions of driving drunk and high has caused them a lifetime of pain.
Please don't get me started.
I don't have my son back, but at least it's over. No more court. No more court dates. No more listening to Saccone with excuses. She lost her world. She lost everything. And not only her, we are hurting as well. The other 3 families are hurting as well. They will never see them again. Teenagers, young adults. They could have made a change in this world, and now they're gone.
Very emotional for them in the courtroom. Now, they also say they do have a little peace now that they were able to address Saccone in court, and they also heard briefly from him. News Channel 9's Andrew Donovan has been covering this case with me as well from the beginning. And Andrew, he did address the families in the courtroom briefly today.
Very brief. These families have been waiting for months to see him go to prison and for months to hear an apology. He did apologize, but it was a brief apology. Even the judge noticed that when Saccone had his chance to speak, his focus was not on the victims.
There's only one man in this room who knows what truly happened that night. What happened is an absolute tragic story, from point A all the way to point Z. What happened is absolutely terrible, but to make a monster out of someone for lack of a better word, you make a monster out of somebody who's never been in trouble a day in his life. People make mistakes.
This is the last we'll see of Anthony Saccone for now as he begins his sentence in state prison. But his court appearances may continue in the future as his lawyer plans to take this to the next level, the appellate division, to appeal this. Jennifer, Saccone's current attorney, blaming his former attorney for basically forcing him into this plea offer that they don't feel is valid and they don't feel it should hold.
Definitely, and as we both spoke to the families, they are still just kind of starting that grieving process. But they say that this chapter closing gives them the opportunity of doing that. And of course, we'll have more on News Channel 9 first at 4 as well as 5 and 6 o'clock. We'll send it back to you, Dan, in the studio.